Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another video in my series that I'm calling Living Consciously. And I welcome all of you who are watching. I am very happy to have you here. I feel that this has been part of my calling, part of what I have been told that I am to accomplish on on this planet, part of my soul contract. And frankly, you welcome, Victoria. Um, it might be part of yours. So, effectively, I'm just very, very pleased to share this with you. I love this topic. Today's topic is how your guides can help you. Effectively, the one that I did on Wednesday, I just gave the list of guides that I'm familiar with. Every single one of the guides I mentioned, I actually have worked with over the years. And so if you go over the list in the prior tape, you will see and you'll get an idea of who it is that I have worked with and who's available to you. Frankly, it's limitless. There is nothing that will not be willing to help you, provided you ask for it. And not only is it important that you ask, but you also have to accept the message that you receive, because that is how, welcome, Mary. That is how they know that you are effectively ready for their messages. Welcome, Christine. And so the guides that I work with gave me this list that I'm presenting to you at 11 o'clock at night, probably on the about a week ago. And I was very, very grateful because the list contained some items that I had experienced, but I had never really thought of. And the fact that they gave me a list is, I felt truly, truly grateful for. Number one on the list, what can your guides do for you? They can help you face part of yourself that you had not been willing to face before. It could be that you're hiding a characteristic from yourself, a characteristic that you would have said, oh, no, I'm not that. I'm going to use myself as an example. One of the guides that comes out of Sacred Contracts by Carolyn Mace is prostitute. And I thought, there's no way that I would ever have a prostitute as a guide. And what I had to admit was that when I agreed to marry my first husband, I only knew him 3 weeks. I agreed to marry a man I didn't know and I didn't love simply because I was confused about what to do with my life, where to take my life. He was equally as confused. He looked upon me and thought I had all the answers. Well, he soon found out that I was just as confused as he was. So that did not make for a very good scene. And we, unfortunately, the marriage was rocky from the very beginning. From 3 weeks in, he asked for a divorce, and probably every week thereafter. And finally, 6.5 years into the marriage, I finally met the man who became my second husband. So I was eternally grateful for that experience. But anyway, that's part of what they can do for you. They can help you face parts of you that you are not willing to face. What else can they do? they can help tell you the hidden secrets about yourself. If there is something within you that absolutely uh, was too awful to face, in the counseling that I have done to the many many people that I have seen, both male and female, I have recognized that there were times where people had experiences that were absolutely devastating to them, where they may have witnessed a murder, and that murder may have been a member of their own family, and they were just a child. And in trying to process that, they basically disassociated themselves from a part of themselves. So effectively, they became a shell of who they could be. If you grew up with alcoholism in your family, if you grew up with abuse in your family, physical, mental, emotional abuse, there are many, many things, many parts of yourself that you could have split off and just say, too painful to look at. Your guides can help you look at these parts of yourself. And even more importantly, they can help you bring those parts of yourself back to you, which is really, really critical, really important because and the soul retrieval that I've done, I know the soul can shatter into thousands of pieces, and it can be scattered all over the universe. And effectively, you really then, bit by bit, piece by piece, have to go and retrieve parts of that soul. So that's one thing your guides can do for you, the hidden secrets, the hidden parts of yourself. They Another thing they can do for you, they maybe certain guides have certain qualities that are extremely beneficial for you. And like for example, Saint Michael, every time I feel the presence of Saint Michael in my life, I know that's all about courage because courage is something that was extremely lacking. Not courage to do other things, but courage to speak my divine truth, courage to step into the role of a spiritual being sharing her spiritual experiences. And one of the men, just a couple years ago, said, "Well, it's no wonder you've been that you lacked courage because you had so many lifetimes where you were persecuted for doing that." And he muscle tested me. And this is a gentleman that I truly respect. He comes from Massachusetts, and he muscle tested me, and he got up to 49 lives where I had been persecuted for speaking my truth. And so that's a lot of lives. And so, hi, Mark, welcome. And I know that I that those lives have held me back. I knew about a couple; they were pretty devastating. I'll talk about them at other times. This is the time and place to talk about my past lives that set me back. Healing. If you need help healing another person or healing yourself, you can call on Saint Raphael. And Saint Raphael is the archangel of healing. And and there is always he is always there at your beck and call because of the fact that he is interested not only in you healing others, but you healing yourself too. So this is he's he is just a fantastic archangel. I usually see him in every one of my Reiki sessions, and occasionally in some of my readings, he will show up too. If you're dealing with compassion, that's where the Blessed Mother comes in. And effectively, compassion, tenderness, gentleness, mercy. A lot of times, issues that you may have to help others heal, she will help you with that. This one was kind of interesting to me. Forthrightness. Forthrightness. That's not a word we typically hear, but Mary Magdalene is the guide that if you have to really stand up and say something in spite of knowing what the consequences could be for you and knowing that the consequences may hurt somebody else or somebody else may totally disagree with you, and that's okay. Forthrightness from Mary Magdalene. Unconditional love. This is no surprise. Jesus. He is a guide. You can see two of the pictures of Jesus. The top picture was taken by my dear friend Elizabeth Cho. It's a statue at the Korean Catholic Church. And I know from this distance you probably can't see it, but if you see it up close, you will see that the chakra colors appeared in that statue. And I absolutely love it. And then, of course, the statue below it is the smiling Jesus, and which is another one of my favorite. So, unconditional love from Jesus, mindfulness from the Buddha, and mindfulness. If you're going through a period where you're feeling scattered, you're just not feeling like this is getting that you're on point, that you're focused, mindfulness, call on Lord Buddha, because that was his gift. That was the gift he brought to the planet. And interestingly enough, the when I was doing the research, when I wanted to do expand my Reiki master teacher, I wanted to, well, update it, not expand it necessarily, but I read articles that had been published on the internet, and I discovered that the Catholic bishops had told their parishioners that you you could not, as a Catholic, practice Reiki because it was considered a Buddhist tradition. And I looked at that and I thought, sad, just very, very sad that they take that stance, but they have the right to say whatever they want. Communing with animals. And more people are interested in communing with animals, and they feel that they have, and St. Francis is the absolute best person to help you with that because he's the patron saint of animals. And he's also the patron saint of the environment. He was granted that designation by John Paul II in the 1980s. I think it was 1989. The next thing that the guides can help you with, reveal to you, is that they can reveal more to you than you ever thought was possible. And I know that these messages can come in through channeling because I know when I sit down with the intent of channeling, I've channeled long enough and often enough to know exactly when messages are coming through me, not from me. It's not my own mind talking to me. It is spirit talking to me. And I've been very grateful, very blessed that so many guides are willing to talk to me, because one of the things that I've learned to do is just basically immediately ask them, "Who's talking?" And it's gotten to the point where after even a sentence or 2, they'll volunteer who's talking, because I don't have to ask them anymore. Um, the next one is that they will give you confidence to speak your truth. And again, effectively, that comes from the fifth chakra opening up. The third chakra is your area of personal will. And so that's your personal truth. But when you tap into divine truth, there are many times most people will say, "Yeah, I agree with that, but I'd never talk about it or I'd never share it." And then they find when something accidentally slips out, that lo and behold, the person that they were talking to, that they find that they have a mutual understanding for the same spiritual truths. So I encourage you to call on your guides to help you speak your truth, help you get to a place where you can give your fifth chakra what it needs, exercise it in the way it needs. Also, I know when I have anybody that comes to me that has had ET experiences, the first thing they'll say to me is, "I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but," and they go on with their story. Well, I've heard enough stories, and I myself know that I have had the experience of looking at 3 triangular clouds moving across the sky very rapidly, and I knew that those were spaceships. There is no way they were clouds because they were moving too fast, but to me, they were disguised as clouds and probably disguised. I have a fifth dimensional sight, but very selectively. So, and not that often. And and they, because they exist in the fifth dimension. And my understanding is that Commander Ashtar is the commander of 300 million spaceships that circle the planet Earth, but they are in the fifth dimension. So, we don't see them. The next thing that your guides can do, they can help you with your writings. If you have a book in you, if you have materials that know need to be shared, they can help you with this. And this is both Saint Gabriel, who is the archangel of communication, and Saint Germain. Saint Germain is the soul, that the spirit that helped Shakespeare with his all his writings. And because Shakespeare, for those people who had done research on him, saw that he felt that he was just a country farmer. How could he possibly have such intimate knowledge of the Elizabethan court? So that's basically how. Um, Interestingly enough, number 7 came in. Your guides can assist you with helping you tell the truth about everything. These are both the angels and your higher self. Your higher self is that part of you that is connected to God and connected to you. Never leaves God, never leaves you. So effectively, um, that is that is absolutely a quality that is needed on this planet right now, desperately needed. Telling the truth. And the next one, they can reveal what you need to unearth to move forward in your life. And Saint Patrick is the patron saint that came forward for as an example of this, because he will show up for you when you feel pretty unsure that you can complete a goal, and where you do not have enough faith that you can accomplish what it is that you need to accomplish. Because my understanding of his history is that when he was young, he was basically um, sold into slavery. He was stolen and sold into slavery and taken from England to Ireland and had to work there as an indentured servant. And this voice inside his head told him that he was to walk 200 miles across Ireland and there would be a ship waiting for him. And he did that. And he said he felt completely protected the whole time he was walking across Ireland. He did not have uh, any fears. When he got to the ship, there was a ship. When he got to the ship, they wouldn't take him as a passenger. He didn't have any money. So he had to constantly go back and continue barraging them with the reasons that they were to take him as a passenger. He finally wore them down. He did. He took it on faith that he needed to do this. He took it on faith that this was absolutely, positively what had to be done. So, and he did get back to England. He did become a priest, then a bishop, was sent back to Ireland. So, anyway, this, if you have a goal and you don't think it's working out for you, pray to St. Patrick. Then the next one is more of the same. It's help you do what you thought was impossible. To speak your truth to your family, to your friends, to your co-workers, to move into teachings about spirituality, if that's what your bag is, and to share what you know with others. The last thing I wanted to share was the guides help you with protection. Now, this is obviously in my lexicon, I'm presuming that everybody knows about guardian angels and that we each are assigned a guardian angel. What I just found out that St. Michael is in charge of all of them. So I thought that was kind of neat. But then I also thought of a time uh, the when that appeared in my life. There were many instances, but this one was really rather intriguing. We There were four of us that were going to a restaurant, and it was my sister Krisha, my sister-in-law Zosha, myself, and my sister Mary. Three of us were moms with two kids apiece. So effectively, my brother said something to me as I was leaving, and he says, "Be careful." I was driving. He said, "Be careful, Alice. You've got a lot of moms in your car." And I thought, "Hi, Josetta." And I thought, "Oh, yes." I said an extra quick little prayer and took off. And then from the restaurant, when we were entering the highway, all of a sudden, as we're on the entrance ramp, noticed that there's a semi right next to me. And for whatever reason, it's going as fast as I am. If I slow down, it slowed down. If I sped up, it sped up. And I thought, this is weird. But the interesting thing was that I noticed how long the entrance ramp was. And I mean, it just went on for as long as I needed it to go on until I was able to enter the highway safely, because I had a barrier to my right and then the semi to my left and everything. The next day, my husband and I went on that same entrance ramp. We whatever errand we ran brought us into the same area. We went on the same entrance ramp. It was so short that I thought, "Oh my god." They effectively extended the entrance ramp for me so that I could, safely get on it. So, anyway, it was so interesting. Um, Again, I have many more stories, but that will be for a later time. I thank you for watching. I'm very pleased to share these experiences with you, and I will see you next week, um, Monday.